Once upon a time, Vault-Tec was seen as the saviour of humanity. The world stood on the brink of total annihilation, an inevitable nuclear war. And amidst the rising tension and fear, Vault-Tec appeared as a beacon of hope. Their promise was simple: protection, preservation, and a future. For many, Vault-Tec represented the best of American ingenuity. Brilliant scientists, advanced technology, and a company willing to step up when the world needed them the most. Their underground vaults, so they said, were havens, a place where you could wait out the storm until it was safe to step into a new world. But behind this glowing promise was something much darker. Vault-Tec was not just building shelters, they were playing God. The vaults were not simply a means to protect people from the horrors of nuclear war. They were experiments designed to mold the future of humanity in ways that few could have imagined. Vault-Tec had a vision, a world free from the chaos of old governments, ideologies, and conflicts, a world that they alone could control. Each vault was carefully crafted to study and manipulate its inhabitants, engineering the perfect society, training the ideal workforce for the future they envisioned, a future they would rule. This grand vision, the dream of reshaping the world in their image, required money, and lots of it. Building these vaults wasn't cheap, nor were the intricate experiments happening inside them. So Vault-Tec needed a strategy, and that strategy started with selling space in their vaults. Luxurious accommodations, the best doctors, a great gene pool, almost limitless entertainment, and regenerative science guaranteed that you and your family would never go hungry. Of course these vaults were expensive, and most people simply couldn't afford the price tag, but Vault-Tec didn't care about them. Their priority was the wealthy, those who could line their pockets with the cash needed to fuel their larger ambitions. As a company, Vault-Tec had a fiduciary responsibility to its shareholders, meaning they had to ensure their investments yielded substantial returns. To meet this obligation, Vault-Tec devised a plan that would not only secure their financial future, but also create the conditions necessary for their vision to thrive. Vault-Tec planned to ignite the Great War. This catastrophic event was engineered to create the ideal scenario for their vaults to shine. By escalating global tensions and driving the world to the brink of destruction, Vault-Tec ensured that their vaults would become the ultimate refuge, validating their costly investment and guaranteeing their shareholders saw a return on their investments. But what about everybody else? Well, for those who couldn't afford a place in a luxurious vault but still feared the bombs dropping, there was Plan B, Vault-Tec pop-up shelters. These shelters were marketed as a more affordable option. They were simple, quick, and easy to set up. Vault-Tec promised that even the average American family could afford to protect themselves. And so, people across the country spent their savings on these pop-up shelters, desperate for any kind of protection. I imagine these shelters were akin to Pulowski preservation shelters. A simple design, maybe a breathing mask or two, but that's it. Zero luxury, no home comforts, just enough space to wait for the all clear. I think it's worth mentioning that pre-war companies weren't as divided as we're led to believe. In fact, they worked together all the time, united by a shared love of profit. I wouldn't be surprised if Vault-Tec and Pulowski actually partnered together on Plan B. Vault-Tec would bring in the customers for Pulowski, selling their shelters for them and taking a cut of the profits, convincing customers that they were getting a genuine alternative to a Vault-Tec vault. The truth, however, was far different. These shelters were little more than tin cans, barely providing any protection at all. Pulowski shelters only protected users from radiation. As for the heat of a nuclear blast, that still penetrated the shelters, perhaps cooking the users alive. Vault-Tec knew these shelters were inadequate, but that wasn't their concern. In the event someone actually survived nuclear Armageddon and wanted to make a complaint, it didn't matter. Their phone lines were down, their offices were abandoned, and even if they miraculously found someone from Vault-Tec to complain to, well, what were the chances they would even listen? For those who couldn't even afford pop-up shelters, Vault-Tec had another solution. Plan C, a do-it-yourself option. I'm not sure if Vault-Tec supplied customers with the materials to build their own shelters, or if this was just their opinion on how well that shelter would turn out, but Plan C, in the eyes of Vault-Tec, was about as useful as a cardboard box. And I guess they were right. I mean, have you ever seen a Plan C shelter? Me neither. They're all gone, just like the people who used them. And then, for the truly desperate, there was Plan D. Vault-Tec offered this package to those who had lost all hope, and in their own words, it was for those people who were too lazy to inherit their own wealth. But Plan D wasn't a shelter. It wasn't even a plan for survival. The Econo Savings Package contained cyanide capsules, presented as a quick and painless way to escape the horrors of nuclear devastation. It was marketed as mercy, a way to avoid the suffering of radiation poisoning, starvation, or worse. Vault-Tec didn't just prey on people's fears, they preyed on their hopelessness, on their despair. Even in death, there was a profit to be made. Unsurprisingly, Plan D wasn't very popular. People don't really like to think their lives are over. Purchasing Plan D was exactly that, admitting that you and your family weren't worth saving. From Plan A to Plan D, Vault-Tec left no stone unturned. They had a product for everyone, from the wealthy elites who could afford the safety of the best vaults, to those whose only solution to escape nuclear war was death. And through it all, Vault-Tec raked in the profits. Vault-Tec's plans were never really about survival, were they? They were about control over who lived, who died, and who shaped the future. They manipulated an entire society through fear, ensuring that no matter what, they would remain in power when the dust settled. Their manipulation extended even to instigating the Great War, an act designed to maximize their returns and secure their dominance over a new world order. As the world around them crumbled, Vault-Tec watched with anticipation, knowing that soon their carefully engineered world would rise from the ashes, a world where they would pull the strings, shaping the future of humanity as they saw fit. This is Vault-Tec's legacy, a legacy built on fear, on manipulation, and on the broken promise of a better future. Be sure to show your support by liking the video and subscribing if you haven't already for more Fallout content. If there's anything you'd like to see in a later video, leave a comment and I'll see what I can do. With that said, thank you, as always, for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.